Welcome to Why So Theory-ous.
A podcast about...
It's fine. Go ahead.
A podcast about all... I forgot what I said.
I think that's it.
This is a podcast about all kinds of theories. Every episode will be about different topics and theories.
Get ready to theory. So, Abby, how was your weekend?
It was good. I worked a lot. I work in an outlet mall, so it was very busy, being that it is Labor Day weekend. Luckily, I did not have to work today. We're recording on Labor Day, so that was nice. But definitely Friday, Saturday, and Sunday was a new kind of... There was a new kind of shopper at the outlet malls. That is what... And, my parents visited me while I was working. And I had complained a little bit to my father before my shift about some customers who will graciously walk into a store, stand right next to you as you are folding t-shirts, and open all of the t-shirts and just throw them right next to you. And I expressed my dislike and frustration at that. And my dad thought it would be funny to walk in the store and do that.
Oh, Mario.
In front of me. So... that was interesting. And then as my mom and dad were checking out, he then jokingly told my manager to, watch out for that girl. She causes trouble.
Oh, good. Gotta love dads.
Which, luckily, my manager was very good-spirited about it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was something else.
Yeah.
How was your week?
It was good. Like Abby said, we're recording this Labor Day weekend, so this is in the past in terms of when we'll post this, but it was fine. I went with my parents to the North Carolina Highlands, which is beautiful.
I saw all of your Snapchat stories.
Yes, so beautiful. And then we're in the midst of kind of waiting out whether or not we're going to get attacked by a hurricane.
Yes, I did hear yesterday that, do you know the name of the hurricane?
Dorian,
that lovely, lovely Hurricane Dorian. It's now up to a Category 5.
That's good.
I don't know the status of it now. That was as of about 24 hours ago, but I do know that the Bahamas for sure and Florida are getting hit pretty hard, so thinking about them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I worked today because restaurants don't follow the same rules.
No.
And holidays don't matter.
Neither do outlet malls.
Yeah. So it was fine. I made good money because I'm a server, but whatever. But do we want to get into theories? I think I went first.
Yeah. So we are continuing our Harry Potter theories. We're probably going to do this for the next 2 after this one, so there'll probably be 4 in total. So each month we'll probably
switch it up.
But I'm going to start us off with a slightly believable, very strange theory that I had not heard before researching. And this comes from Pop Sugar.
Okay.
And this theory is that George Weasley, Fred and George the twin, you know who George Weasley is, but
of course,
is Willy Wonka. What do you think about that? What are your first thoughts?
Okay, so is he Willy Wonka as in the Gene Wilder?
Gene Wilder, Willy Wonka.
Okay, because the Johnny Depp one.
No.
Real creepy.
So this whole theory is referencing to Gene Wilder.
Okay, and
not Johnny Depp.
And in Gene Wilder at that time, his hair was kind of like a reddish brown, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay, good. Keep going.
Okay. So I'm going to start from sort of the beginning of where this theory takes place. So we do know that in Order of the Phoenix, Fred and George begin their plans for Weasley's Wizarding Wheezes. Although I've never known if I've pronounced that right. I used to read it as Weasley's Wizarding Wheezies, but I don't think that is true. Anyways, a little while later, Fred and George leave Hogwarts. They set off that huge fireworks display during the OWLs. Because, JK loves those acronyms.
Oh my gosh.
Things.
So good. That was in the movie version of that scene. And going back and reading it, I still am so amazed by how well they did it in the film. I just, so good.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but they decided to not go back to Hogwarts.
Yes.
Because, I mean, if they went back, they would probably get in some deep shit kind of trouble.
That was their big hurrah.
So after that, they decided to use the money that Harry gave them from winning the Triwizard Tournament to build Weasley's Wizarding Wheezes.
Okay, and just so everybody knows, if you've never read the books and you've only seen the movies, they left that part out, that Harry actually gave all of those galleons to the twins for their business, which they left out of the film, and I thought that it was such a charismatic and lovely thing Harry did.
That was one of the big character building moments, because if you just watch the movies, Harry can seem kind of like a...
kind of selfish, I guess.
Which, I mean, they're probably trying to really drive home the fact that he is a boy who is going from 11 years of age to 17. He's going through puberty. He's probably all in his head. He has the stigma of, I'm the boy who lived kind of thing. But in the books, he does have a lot of really, really great character building moments that you just really miss out if you don't read the books. Now that was basically them starting their business, Weasley's Wizard Wheezes. Now we're... fast. Oh gosh, no. Ooh, I refuse.
Let me try.
Okay, you try.
I have to read it. Okay, where is it? Oh my god, okay. Weasley's Wizarding Wheezes. Weasley's Wizarding Wheezes. Weasley's Wizarding...
It's hard. That's probably why they did it, because they're pranksters and they just want people to walk up and be like, "Hi, I'm a baby."
Literally every single one of those words has like either a hard S or like a Z sound.
Or Z, yeah.
So if you have a speech impediment,
oh gosh,
the twins really wanted to really mess with you.
Drive that home. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to compare Harry to the main character from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Mr. Charlie Bucket.
Yes.
So, both Charlie Bucket and Harry are 11. Now, this is when the books start. So, Charlie Bucket's 11 when he gets the golden ticket, goes to the Chocolate Factory, gets all of his adventures. Harry Potter is 11 when he starts all of his adventures in Hogwarts, gets his letter to go to Hogwarts, which is kind of like the golden ticket.
Yeah.
So... the whole thing when they're 11, it's a little bit of a stretch, but it can make sense. The next thing is that to Charlie Bucket, who is a muggle, non-magic being, Willy Wonka is very strange.
Yeah.
And in Harry Potter, all of the wizards seem super duper strange to the muggles.
Gosh,
they wear eccentric clothing, they kind of say witty sayings that, I mean, obviously don't make it, like, apparate, you don't really know what that means, but they just talk about that out in the open.
I think about Arthur in the tube, when they're trying to get to the Ministry, when Harry, I don't remember if that's necessarily in the books, but in the movies, I thought that was a nice touch. And of course, the question he asks Harry is, okay, I have a question. What exactly is the function of a rubber duck?
Yes.
And I love that so much.
Okay, so now another comparison.
Okay.
There are the well-known little orange creatures with green hair. What are they, Anna?
From
Willy Wonka.
Oh, from Willy Wonka, the Oompa Loompas.
Yes, the Oompa Loompas. Who do you think they would be compared to?
Not house elves.
Yes,
right? Okay.
house elves. So the Oompa Loompas are supposed to be the house elves of the Willy Wonka world. So they're supposed to be there's so many Weasleys, it's hard to keep track. They are supposed to be George Weasley's workers.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Employees,
yes. Okay. Now, a lot of people kind of disagree with this theory because J.K. Rowling has come out to say this quote. As we all know, unfortunately, Fred Weasley does get killed, rip, in Deathly Hallows during the fight at Hogwarts. And George Weasley J.K. Rowling has come out to say that George would never have fully been the same after suffering a loss like Fred's. Which I kind of agree with, because I think that Fred had such a pivotal role in George's life and vice versa that, if one of them lost the other, they wouldn't want to open, start something new again.
Yeah.
But some people also think that the factory is not just a way for George to honor Fred, but to also honor Arthur Weasley, his father, who absolutely adored Muggles.
Oh, of course.
So instead of, George and Fred making things to please the wizarding world and kids in the wizarding world, now, to honor his father, he is making things to please Muggle children. And then just some common features between the two, between Willy Wonka and George Weasley. They both have red hair, like you mentioned at the beginning. You know how, especially in the movie,
the logo kind of thing?
The logo has a top hat.
Yeah.
The man, outside of Wizard Wheezes. It has a top hat. They both wear strange clothing.
Uh-huh.
Both George and Willy Wonka say fast and kind of witty quips a lot. And then this is the most interesting.
Okay.
So you know how in the beginning of Deathly Hallows, George gets his ear blown off?
Yeah.
And
he's holy.
He's holy, yes. In Willy Wonka mentions that he can't hear in one ear.
Oh, I remember that.
A lot of people connect the two. So that's the last big piece of evidence that these proponents of this theory give to people who don't believe it. So what do you think about that whole...
I think that it's interesting, the comparisons. It makes me just wonder if J.K. Rowling got some inspiration from the original Willy Wonka movie. Because if she did really like Willy Wonka and enjoyed the whimsy of that film, she may have wanted to incorporate that into like some of her characters, which I think Fred and George probably did a really good job of. So.
I do think Fred and George as one unit, which a lot of people think of them as being one unit.
It's like in Lord of the Flies. Like the two characters. Yeah.
So I do think Fred and George together could be inspired by Willy Wonka, but I don't necessarily agree that George grew up to open this chocolate factory, because I don't think he would do something that big without his twin brother being there with him to experience it.
That's interesting. I do like that, though. It's kind of fun. That's a fun one. Okay, well then I'm gonna start with mine.
All right, I'm excited to hear what you have.
Okay, so this theory, it's an interesting one, kind of like that. This theory, I bet a lot of people have heard. I actually had never really heard of it until a couple weeks ago. But this one is that J.K. Rowling is Rita Skeeter.
I've literally, the only thing I've heard of that is that some people think that J.K. Rowling is Rita Skeeter, but I've never looked into it.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to learn more about this.
Yeah, so pretty much what evidence people use is that what they say is that Rita, after, Hermione found out that she was an animagus, animagus, and that she was, kind of a liar and would put a lot of stuff into her stories that were a bit convoluted. Yes, that's a good word. Many people stopped believing in her writing, and so she decided to leave the wizarding world to see if she could make her way by writing stories for the Muggles. So pretty much what she did was she took what she had already written and she embellished it, as well as kind of made it more hard to believe and like kind of the word I just said, whimsical and even more magical, so that the Muggles would be into it. And another thing is that the only reason, like a big question people ask is, why didn't the Ministry stop her from writing stories? And one reason people say it could be, and could be the biggest one, is that the Ministry could not stop her once she published that first book, because it became so popular that it would have been really difficult to, I guess, obviate that many muggles.
They would have had to do the thing in Fantastic Beasts where they did the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which that was just for an entire city. Imagine if they didn't realize how far-reaching the book was until after a month, which I think it got pretty popular with it.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, so that's one big thing. Another thing is that how J.K. Rowling sometimes acts on social media, like Twitter and stuff.
Yes.
When she replies to people and will answer questions, I guess people ask, or, you know, she tries really hard to be progressive. And you know what? Okay, you do you, boo. But sometimes the things she says is a bit far-fetched, and that was a lot of what Rita Skeeter did.
For sure.
Yeah, so, like, for example, the whole... I believe this to be true, that Dumbledore is gay. I actually do believe that, because it is mentioned in some ways in the first
it's alluded to,
series.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily believe that's untrue, but a lot of people don't believe it. Hermione is actually black. I'm sorry. Okay, if that's true, fine, but at the same time, like, don't be ashamed of the fact that you wrote a book in the 90s that didn't have black people, because the thing is that all books were like that. It's kind of like how there are older books that use really, really terrible, I guess, terms and language.
It's just they're with the times.
Yeah.
It's just like if she wrote it nowadays, there probably would be more black characters.
Yeah.
But it's okay that Hermione is
Yeah.
is white. It's not like she outwardly said that she was white.
Yeah.
I think one of the most descriptive things that we get about her is her hair and her teeth.
Yeah.
So that's the main argument people have
Yeah.
when they say that Hermione could be black, is that, you know, we don't get any information about the color of her skin, which is true.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. Like, literature is all about perception. If you perceive that a character could be a certain way, I mean, obviously, unless they outright say, you know, Hermione is white, then it would probably be hard to argue that, you know, she'd be black.
Yeah.
But
and I mean,
it's all about perception.
I wish that there was more color and like ethnicities that were represented in Harry Potter, but, you know, I mean, we can't be mad about the fact that she wrote a book at a time that is not now. So
and it's not like you can just, I mean, she started writing these books in the 90s. It's not like she could have changed halfway through to all of a sudden mention
no, I mean, now
things.
If she were to decide to, like, which we all wish for, some prequels. Like of the Marauders, if she wanted to add a few characters, and if she ever decided to do that, you know, that could be her way of redeeming herself. You know, it's not about changing what you've already written to pertain to a modern agenda. Which,
and I do think that Fantastic Beasts is redeeming that.
I think
because the MACUSA minister, I don't know if they call her a minister. Do they call her the president?
Possibly the president. And then they have Lestrange.
Lestrange.
Lacerda.
There was the character, from the second one. I always forget his name.
Oh. What do you mean?
I don't remember what he did, but
was he a bad guy?
I don't think so. It was so hard in the second one to me to figure out who the bad guys were and who they weren't.
It was a little ambiguous.
It was very ambiguous. I mean, obviously Grindelwald.
What did he do?
I think he worked for MACUSA.
Okay.
He may have been a Muggle.
Those
are two very different things.
I know, yeah. Yes, but there are definitely some more people of color in the new Fantastic Beasts series, so I think that's definitely helping with the redemption in terms of helping with making things a bit more diverse.
Yeah, and pertaining to
more than one
the current days. Yeah.
Yeah, and so some other stuff, of course, if you've ever... I actually don't go on Twitter, so I never even saw these things until people told me. You know, like, let's see. The whole Voldemort has a secret daughter. I had never even heard about this until I looked up this theory. And I mean, okay, that'd be kind of interesting, but where is this daughter? Why
the only thing I've ever heard about that is in another podcast I listened to about Harry Potter. They've mentioned that he could have impregnated. I don't like that word, but I think that's the word that they used. Bellatrix Lestrange.
Yeah.
That Voldemort and Bellatrix had a, secret
Not
love affair.
I mean, I guess it wouldn't necessarily be love.
He can't feel love. They had a lust affair.
Yeah.
And he got Bellatrix pregnant. And I think they're saying this happened between when he comes back to power in the 4th book and then to the Wizarding War in between that. Because there was a lot of time that passed in between
5 and 6.
Yeah.
Like in that time. Okay.
Yeah, which, I mean, it's a whole school year.
That's like 2 years. So.
Yeah, plenty of time for someone to get pregnant and then have a baby. And then, I don't know what they did with said baby.
Yeah, I know. That's really weird.
It's probably, how in American Horror Story when the lady in Murder House has the baby and it's like the literal spawn of Satan.
Oh, gosh.
That's what I picture this baby to be.
No.
I hate to think of babies like that because, babies are so precious. But I'm sorry, baby between Bellatrix and Voldemort, there's no way it would be good.
Yeah. And I wonder how her husband felt about that. If he was around.
Yeah.
She's married. That's
she
how
is
she
married,
even is
yeah.
a Lestrange. Like, she's not. She's a black, right? She
is, yeah.
Yeah, so she's married into the family of Lestrange. But yeah, so I found that interesting. But yeah, so that was my theory about J.K. Rowling being Rita Skeeter.
That is interesting.
I personally, obviously this is a theory that would mean that the, magical world
exists. So this is, someone is saying that the Wizarding world actually exists.
Yeah, I think it's, a wishful thinking.
The actual J.K. Rowling is the actual Rita Skeeter.
Which, hey, maybe I think a lot of people have to understand, sometimes when you're writing, and I'm not a writer or anything, but I listen to podcasts about people who do write, like John Green and Hank Green. They talk about how in their books, or at least John has written kind of a almost biographical book about his time in school, but it was a completely different story. It was just the character and the setting was something from his past. So it's interesting because of course when you're writing a book you might insert yourself in there.
Yeah,
somehow.
I think everyone does. So I think I can believe this theory as maybe J.K. Rowling is
making fun of herself.
Yeah, because it's well known that J.K. Rowling a while back growing up suffered with depression, and she was a struggling writer. Many people did refuse to publish the Harry Potter series. I mean, it was dumb of them because
huge regrets.
I bet they're really hurting now.
Yeah, probably.
But she was a struggling author starting out. Everyone who writes gets rejected. And it's not like Rita Skeeter necessarily got rejected. I mean, people believed Rita Skeeter.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think they could be paralleled somehow. That was an interesting theory. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now on to the next one, which I think is more believable than my first one, which was the Willy Wonka theory. This one is that Harry Potter is now immortal.
Okay, I have seen just the title of this one, just like you had seen the other one.
Same.
I never read into it. So
this one is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I got this from a Bustle article.
Okay.
So that's where this is. I mean, it's all over, but the most information that I could find was on this Bustle article, and then this Bustle article got this information from an infographic by someone with the handle HP Wombat on the. There's a website, IMGUR.
Imgur.
Mm-hmm. I've never heard of it.
I've always called it Imgur.
Okay. Well, she posted this on Imgur.
Mm-hmm.
So, this whole theory stems from the prophecy that Professor Trelawney makes about, Harry and Voldemort. And the line that it all comes out from is, quote, "Either must die at the hand of the other, for neither can live while the other survives." Unquote. I think everyone at this point who are diehard Harry Potter fans, like Anna and myself, have this quote ingrained in their brains.
Yes, and here's the thing. If you've never read the books and you actually didn't know that Professor Trelawney is the one who performed that prophecy.
Yep.
She was an aspiring prophet / what is her job again? Divination. Divinator. I don't know.
Divination professor.
And her aunt or her grandmother or somebody was a very renowned, divination woman. Somebody, I don't know the noun.
I don't either.
English. And so if you never read the books and you don't realize that, but yes, Professor Trelawney is the one who told this prophecy.
This very, very
and that is how
prophecy.
She got the job at Hogwarts, because she went into this prophecy right in front of Dumbledore.
Yeah, and I mean, people shit a lot on Trelawney. Even Dumbledore did.
Oh, yeah.
In The Prisoner of Azkaban, after Trelawney made the prophecy that, the one about Sirius Black. And all that stuff. Dumbledore said something like, oh, and that makes the total of true prophecies up to 2. He said something along the lines of that. And the other one he's referring to is in fact this very, very important prophecy that does save the entire wizarding world.
Yeah.
So even though she has only made 2 correct predictions up until that point, the first one was a pretty big deal.
Man, I'm glad you're talking about the prophecy of it, because my next one is actually somewhat linked to that. So.
All right, so now into the good stuff. If you didn't think that before it was good, I thought it was good, but when Harry killed, I wrote in here Voldemort. So when Harry killed Voldemort in the Deathly Hallows, he killed the only thing that could kill him, technically. And if you read into this line from the prophecy and you over-enunciate the word must, this makes sense. Either must die at the hand of the other. So, the only way that Harry could die after killing Voldemort, there is no other way he could die. Voldemort was the one that had to kill him. He must kill Harry.
I have chills.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Which, I found this to be completely ironic.
Yeah. Because
the one thing that Voldemort was trying to achieve throughout the entire series was immortality. Yeah. So if you think about it, if Voldemort killed Harry, Voldemort would then be immortal, which he would finally, achieve the whole purpose of his schemes. Wow. I thought that was super interesting. And there is a really interesting infographic. This is the one on Imgur that HP Wombat had posted. I'm not sure if she, drew it. She may have. But the infographic basically says everything that I've just mentioned. And then it adds some things, some kind of sad things that would happen if this theory was true. Okay. So if Harry was immortal and he would never die, that would mean he would never be able to be reunited with his lost loved ones. Oh, no. So, he would never be reunited with Lupin, Sirius, his parents. Yeah. Anyone Dumbledore, yeah. He might see them in visions and whatnot, what happens a lot in the wizarding world. But he would never go to the wizarding, quote-unquote, heaven. Yeah. But, and despite the fact that he wouldn't end up being able to be with his family in, the afterlife, one thing is that the pensieve, if he has a pensieve, he could do what Dumbledore did and collect memories from other people about his family. So, that's true. Honestly, that would be a really good way for him to connect with Teddy. Oh, it would. Oh, everyone always forgets about Teddy, and I kind of do too. But, it's such a sad story. One other thing that is just horrifying that would happen, and this is true, is that he would have to watch every single person that he knows and loves die. Yeah. Every plot and every episode of any vampire show. Oh my gosh. Twilight. When Edward's like, I don't want to change you because I don't want to be selfish because I'm just worried about watching you die, kind of thing. Anyways, he would have to watch his kids die. He would have to watch Ginny die. Ron, Hermione, everyone that he knows. And he can't do anything about it because they're not immortal, and it's not like he can give them his immortality. This is from a prophecy. Yeah. And prophecies are set in stone. And to kind of wrap this theory up, is just like a funny connection to the whole thing when it's like the boy who lived. Like, it's like the boy who lived. Like, he lives forever. He's immortal.
Yeah.
You know, he is, yes, the boy who lived after Voldemort first tried to kill him, and then the Avada Kedavra curse rebounded onto Voldemort. But he is now truly the boy who lived.
Yeah. Because he survived it twice.
And now he's going to live throughout everything, if this theory is true.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. I had kind of heard of this theory a little bit, but I have never gone in depth with it.
Yeah. I find that really interesting. I think it's definitely possible. Although sad, I think it's definitely possible.
It is sad. I mean, it's sad and it's bittersweet. That's how I would predict it.
There are perks, but there's also downsides, and yeah, man. I mean,
he would be there to help, you know, because I think he would be a very, very good mentor for many generations to come.
Oh yes.
And he can share his story with. He could be like one of those public speakers at Hogwarts who comes in and talks about his trials and tribulations while at the school, which there were many.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I think that is a solid theory that this person had proposed.
Okay. So I'm going to move on into my theory. This is I think this is canon, honestly. And I wish that I could have, like, somebody who would be able to get J.K. Rowling to respond, like, confirm this. So this is that Quirrell in the first book, when Neville was attempting his first flight on a broom during that flight lesson, was actually trying to kill Neville. Because think about this. For those of you who haven't, like, read the books, you wouldn't know this, but Neville was actually in the same boat as Harry, in that they were both possibilities for being the boys who are mentioned in the prophecy. A boy who was born in July.
Late July,
yeah. And so the only reason that Voldemort had chosen to target Harry is because of some similarities, which I'm not even sure what similarities they're even talking about.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I do know that afterwards they have connections, Neville and Harry do, because Harry's parents are dead, and unfortunately Neville's parents may as well be. They are extremely, like...
Not ill, but...
Ill. They are mentally ill, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Which I do think that J.K. Rowling handles this very well.
St. Mumbos?
St. Mungos.
Yes. Mumbos, oh gosh.
I do think that J.K. Rowling handles the whole situation with Neville's parents very well. You don't see this if you just watch the movies.
Yeah.
This is one thing where I would say, if you haven't read the books, I would read the books just for this.
Yeah.
The scenes, especially in the 5th book,
it made me cry.
They are beautiful.
I think about it and I want to cry.
Yeah.
It's so sad because he's so, like...
patient
and wants a relationship with his parents so bad. And for those of you who don't understand what we're saying, they were tortured so badly by the Cruciatus curse by Bellatrix Lestrange that it actually caused serious mental damage to the point where they have to stay in a mental facility or a
it's the mental ward of the hospital.
And
psychiatric ward.
That's a better way to put it. Yeah. And so it's, like, really sad. That's why he lives with his grandmother, and so he didn't really grow up with active parents because they can't be. And so that's where this all starts, is the fact that he could possibly also be the chosen one.
Yes.
So obviously Quirrell was also Voldemort. So
got Voldemort on the back of your head.
Oh my gosh.
That'll do some weird things.
Oh man, I'm just thinking of the Harry Potter musical.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, and pretty much what happens is, if you've seen the movie, you've seen it. It's really interesting how all of a sudden Neville's broom goes crazy. I actually looked up some broom lore, and brooms are enchanted by wizards. So whatever enchantments are put on them is how they fly.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting because, like, you could think to yourself, maybe it's a special type of tree, but no, it's actually a type of enchantment put on it by a wizard. So unless, for some reason, that enchantment had worn off, like, there should be no reason for a broom to go haywire.
I mean, the only other time that we see a broom go haywire, I guess it's not a broom, it's the bludger.
No, you're actually right.
It is the broom.
So that's in the second book.
Yeah.
In the first book, Quirrell also
enchants Harry's broom. That's right.
Puts a curse on Harry's broom and is like mumbling to himself, and we just don't see it because we're distracted by Snape, who is mumbling to try and counteract it.
Yes.
So
he could have done the same
Quirrell
exact thing.
Is the only one who's ever, at least I can remember in the books, to attempt to cause a broom to malfunction.
That is true. We don't really see another malfunctioning broom in both the books or the movies.
Yeah. So if Voldemort still had some kind of inkling that Neville could be the chosen one, of course he's going to want to take him out as well as Harry. So it makes perfect sense that he would, send his lackey to try and hurt him. And the only reason that we know Neville didn't get more seriously injured is because of his remembrall. Because his remembrall was turning red because he forgot his robes.
Yep.
And his robes are what caught him.
Picture.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because that's what caught him and stopped him from falling as quickly.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because he got caught on the
Because if he had fallen more quickly and not been caught by that statue with the swords, he would have fallen way faster and could have killed him or could have probably seriously broken his legs because of the way he was falling. So, yeah, I found that really interesting. I think it's totally plausible. Because, I mean, the only reason after that they didn't target Neville is because Harry is the one who defeated Voldemort in the end of the first book. And he's the one who stopped everything. So, obviously, if Harry is the one who opposes Voldemort the most, he is the one who is the chosen one.
Yeah, so, and if you also think about it, maybe Voldemort could have thought it was Neville because maybe he thought he made a mistake with Harry when Harry was a baby by trying to kill him. And then, I mean, that made Voldemort go poof for 11 years.
Yeah.
So maybe he didn't want to make the same mistake again, and he thought he made a mistake with Harry, so he was trying to go for Neville.
Yeah.
Which was another mistake.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, he obviously wanted to take out both of them because he had Quirrell also do the same to Harry. So I find that
is true.
So plausible, and I think that it's canon, and I want it to be canon, but who knows?
I think that's the most believable theory that is on this episode.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I definitely can see it. It's a very simple theory, but one that would kind of change how we perceive a few of the events in the first movie and book. So, but yeah.
All right, so I have one last little, very short, I wouldn't even call it a theory, but it's not long enough to, be part of another episode, and it does tie along with Sorcerer's Stone. So, I just wanted to share this. A lot of people believe that the obstacles that Hermione, Ron, and Harry face while trying to get the Sorcerer's Stone are majorly foreshadowing each of the other books.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I'm just going to go through, there's 6 of them, very quickly. If we want to talk about them, we can. But the very first obstacle that they face is the Devil's Snare.
Devil's Snare, yeah.
Which alludes to Chamber of Secrets loosely when they get caught in the Whomping Willow. When Harry and Ron are driving the flying car to Hogwarts and they get caught in the Whomping Willow.
Yeah, because they get ensnared in the tree. Okay.
All right, remember what it is? Next room?
It's not the brooms, is
it?
It
is.
Okay.
So the broom and the keys allude to Prisoner of Azkaban when the Quidditch game when the Dementors attack.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the keys are kind of attacking Harry.
Yeah, yeah. And then the keys could also represent freedom for Sirius.
I didn't think about that, but that one's good. All right, so the next room, which is a huge scene in the movie, is the wizarding chest, the life-size wizarding chest, which we see Ron kind of come out of his shell and just conquer this wizarding chest
This is
game,
when
which
we
is
see
awesome.
him be so brave, and that's when you realize that he's really a true Gryffindor.
Mm-hmm.
So
this alludes to Goblet of Fire at the end of the third Triwizard Tournament task when Harry and Cedric go and get transported by this portkey to the grave where Tom Riddle, Voldemort's father, is buried.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that alludes to.
Okay.
Pretty loosely. Then, I don't remember this from the book. I'm gonna have to read it, but there's a troll. Yeah. There is a troll because
Yeah, there's a troll in the dungeon.
Which alludes to Order of the Phoenix. What character do you think that alludes to?
Order of the Phoenix? Groppy?
Yes, it alludes to Grop.
Yeah.
Now, my favorite obstacle is the potion puzzle.
Oh my gosh.
Which they don't have in the movie.
It.
But Hermione is a queen at this puzzle. She just figures it out. And this alludes to... This one I find the least believable, but it alludes to Slughorn, and he's the potions master. And then the Half-Blood Prince's potions book. So it alludes to that. So, like, the potions...
The importance of
the potions and the Half-Blood Prince.
Mm-hmm.
And the very last obstacle that Harry faces, because he's all by himself, is Quirrell and Voldemort, which alludes to, in Deathly Hallows, his last fight with Voldemort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's what that's what all of those rooms or obstacles are foreshadowing. Yeah. Which I found really interesting.
Yeah, some of them are loose, but I think could be potentially true.
Now, this theory all holds on to the fact that people think J.K. Rowling knew what she was going to write before, which, as an author, knowing 7 books of information, that's a lot.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
I wouldn't be surprised if she not necessarily went with the flow with everything. You have to think out your characters. Like, she did a really good job of not betraying any of her characters' qualities throughout the books. So, yes, she had a plan when writing the books. But I don't think she knew, like, what was going to happen in the 6th book or the 7th when she wrote the first one.
Yeah, definitely not.
But I do think it's very interesting.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I find that really cool. And I think we have to also remember that, although it's almost impossible to properly, I guess, plan out a series as, like, so far ahead. I mean, she did that with, even in the second movie / book, she had Tom Riddle's diary. She may not have decided whether or not it was going to be a Horcrux yet.
Yeah.
But she knew
it was going to be important.
She did a good job making it.
And the vanishing cabinets and stuff like that. Yeah. Those come back.
And how we see that Harry actually had already come across a lost diadem.
Yes.
And all
that is my favorite.
All of these things she somehow tied in, and it's so interesting that she did have it planned out in some way. So maybe she had always wanted to do Horcruxes and had planned out those items so that she could plant them. But
yeah. I don't think she knew that, like, it was going to be a 7-book series when she wrote it.
Probably not.
It's just you break it up how it makes... Well, there's 7 years at Hogwarts.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So, yeah, that makes sense. But I don't think she knew everything when she was... No one really... Things change. Yeah, she probably had to listen to her audience that was reading it, what they would respond better to and what they wouldn't.
It's like when in high school I thought I was going to go into music. And
I thought I was going to be a band director.
Oh my gosh, twins.
Yep.
Yeah, so... This has been Why So Theory-ous.
Yeah, this has been fun. I'm definitely excited for the next one. So the next 2, like we said at the beginning, will still be Harry Potter. We haven't really decided what we're doing after that.
Yeah, so maybe we'll have these posted, at least the first one posted, because this is the 2nd episode.
Yeah, we're backlogging.
Yeah.
Quite a few.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have the first episode posted. Maybe by then we can get some potential suggestions.
I did think it would be fun once this gets started and off the ground to maybe once a month. I haven't talked to you about this, but to maybe once a month do like a listener's choice
theory,
and like ask people to give us theories that they want to hear about, and then if we have a lot, we could obviously only pick a couple. But I do think it would be fun to do maybe one of those once a month because some of the things we talk about might not be as interesting to everyone,
which is understandable.
Which is the beauty of setting it up like this, because I mean, we're gonna switch quite often.
Hopefully we'll have a Facebook page
by the time
these are all posted. So then we'll be able to have a place for people to go make suggestions.
For sure. And then I know a lot of other podcasts also do Instagram. So we're gonna, it's easy to do. Facebook and Instagram are owned by the same people, so we're gonna definitely do both. Oops. So yeah. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you want to, shoot us a little review. We're all about those. They definitely help get us up there on the iTunes
charts
and stuff like that. So until next time, keep calm and theory on.